everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and I am here to do a tarot tag. I just wanted to do something really quick, and I've been seeing these all over. The person who started it was Brian Cormac Carr, Carr. I'll put a link to his video about it in the description box below, but he's the one who has started it out. Now, I think that there may be some kind of a drawing related to it that may already be over with. I'm not really doing it for that, but just to jump in on the tarot tag. So you might want to check it out, though, if you want to make a video with it. But I thought I would just do it because it's something that is quick to do, and kind of get back into making videos after a little bit of a hiatus. So the premise of the tag, of course, is about tarot tools and the tools of the trade. And so it is, even though it's called a trio, which is 3, he is a man after my own heart and has, it's actually 9 plus 1. I'm all for the multi, so it's 3 sets of 3. And so it's 3 tarot books, 3 tarot decks, and 3 tarot spreads that you would use. Now, I chose to do the decks based on what I'm using right now, not necessarily my all-time favorite, like if I could only have 3 decks, you know, ever or whatever, that these are the ones that I would pick. I'm just picking 3 that I'm particularly using a lot of right now. So we'll start with the books, though. after that disclaimer, we're just going to go on to a different category. So as you know, if you followed my channel for very long, I actually don't have a lot of tarot books because I learned to read tarot kind of on my own, and with I had the guidebook for the Llewellyn Tarot, and which is the only tarot deck I had for about 9.5 years. So I had that guidebook, and I had a little book, which I cannot for the life of me find. I still have it somewhere, but it's literally like a pocket tarot book. It's not that little, but it's small. And that had Marseille images and meanings in that particular guidebook. So those were the 2 books that I had. And then it was just more just working with the cards, you know, just getting the cards on the table and working with them. And so that's what I had for, and obviously I did some online research at some point, but there wasn't as much then as there is now. So it was more, perhaps, I guess, would be more traditional meanings and things. I don't even think I did a lot of that because I don't think I saw a Rider-Waite-Smith images except for at the very beginning and then later on. So anyways, it was mostly those 2 books. So by the time that I was thinking, oh, you know, I could buy some more books, it's just one of those things that I'd rather buy a tarot deck because I have a pretty set understanding of how I read. I did a lot of research before, just to kind of get some fix in any gaps and any holes for a few years between when it was about a good 9.5 years of working just with the one deck and with that book. And then for about 2 or so years before, a couple years before I started reading professionally, I really did some intense Rider-Waite-Smith studying just to kind of fill in that gap, because I was much more comfortable with numerology and sort of Pippish style meanings, even though my deck was not Pippish, but I was more comfortable with those meanings than with the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So I kind of did some intense study just to, you know, fill the gaps in. But I really don't have a lot of books because I have a very small apartment, and I do have stuff, you know, like as we all do when we reach 49 years old. I do have stuff, and I have a very small apartment, so I try to limit my reference books down. I mean, I might buy books, but then I'll sell them back or get rid of them. Except for the ones that I feel are key to keep for some specific reason. So I literally try to keep my reference books down to 2-ish books that I feel like these are what I'm going to stick to as my kind of go-to reference books. So I have actually 3, but I do have 3 tarot books. So that's what I'm going to talk about. There's a long ramble to say that. It's kind of based off of having a good, a variety of tarot based on Marseille style reading. So this is Tarot the Open Reading by Yoav Ben-Dov. And this is, has been rebranded by Llewellyn, and it's got a different title to it. I'll link to it in the description box. But this is very much along the lines of reading with Marseille. What do the colors mean? What do the directions mean? What do the body parts symbolize? Different things that are related to reading with Pip and or Marseille style and or Pip decks. So I have this book I was definitely keep because it is my book that I keep for that. I've already kind of done this for myself, and I think if you've watched my channel, you know this. Of course, I have Holistic Tarot, which is by Benebell. This is she'll I think be the first to say she's a Rider-Waite-Smith girl, and so this is definitely based off of the images used are based off of Rider-Waite-Smith. The context is with Rider-Waite-Smith, but it is just a treasure trove of spreads and correspondences. It's great for astrological course, but appendixes. I think the appendices is appendice. I think that's it called at the end when it's more than not just one. No, the appendix in this book I think is nearly as informative and helpful as the rest of the book. But this is definitely sort of the Bible, I think, of Rider-Waite-Smith style reading, and a great reference. You know, people think, oh my goodness, it's so big. Well, it's not really made to sit down and read it like a novel, right? It's a reference book. So if I want to look up, just open to this. If I want to look up the King of Swords and see sort of what are the astrological, what are the elemental associations, those kinds of things, what are traditional reversed meanings, all of these correspondences that are traditional. Again, this would be more to Rider-Waite-Smith, to the Golden Dawn, those types of correspondences. But when I want to look up that kind of information, this is the deck, or this is the book that I go to. So this is the book that I keep for my Rider-Waite-Smith. So that takes kind of like Marseille and Rider-Waite-Smith. And then the third one that I keep is actually not in, it's on my iPad, and this is Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, and this is by Duquette, and I think this is an excellent book. And even though I don't do a lot of reading with Thoth, I have it, and it's certainly something I want to sink into more. It's been on my wish list to do so. I really love this book because I do like the way that it discusses. Again, it's another one of the major systems in tarot, and so keeping a reference for each of those systems I think is really important. But just for example, I mean, I just love this. This is the Queen of Pentacles, and this is what he writes about it. Life-giving water to a thirsty earth. What a beautiful concept. What a beautiful tarot card. Her dress alone is worth looking at with a magnifying glass. The genteel author Jane Austen is an ideal model for Crowley's characterization of this card and matches his description in the Book of Thoth perfectly. She was quietly passive, but passivity, Crowley claims, in its highest aspect. She and many of her characters were quiet, hardworking, practical, sensible, domesticated. Like Austen herself, however, there is much more to the Queen of Discs than needlepoint and country dances. I believe, at least on one level, Aleister Crowley was having us on when he wrote, "They are not intellectual and not particularly intelligent, but instinct and intuition are more than adequate for their needs." I think he was getting closer to the truth when he wrote, "She thus represents the ambition of matter to take part in the great work of creation." Think about that for a moment. That is a force to be reckoned with. And he goes on. But I really like the way that Duquette writes about the cards. And I think that it's a beautiful, beautiful vision, and being able to kind of look and see this other way of thinking. And again, with the system of Thoth, and again does have some of the different correspondences. I like this particularly for cards that are related to it. Also has the dates. It has astrological things as well. And so it has all of that there. But with those 3 books, whoa, there goes my keyboard. With those 3 books, I think that you really get, again, Thoth, Rider-Waite-Smith, and Marseille style readings. And so that is great reference material for me. And so that's the book. Those are the 3 books that I keep. The only other book I have, well, I do have some other books on tarot. So, but I don't, those are the 3. If I could only have 3 books, those are the ones that I would keep. I did just, I'll just show this because I like to break the rules. I did just get this book when I was sick over the weekend and stuck in a Barnes and Nobles. This is called Tarot Spreads, 122 Layouts. Look at all those spreads. I generally make my own spreads, but I did like some of the ways that they looked at places and placement, and it was interesting enough, and I had a coupon, so I was like, and then there's this whole random section that was really quite interesting on astrology. So it's like 122 layouts plus astrology just kind of thrown in at the end. It doesn't say that on here, but I was kind of like, well, why is there like a whole section? It is a pretty good, sort of reference to astrological associations, just kind of thrown in there as a bonus. So I did pick that up because look at this one is quite interesting. The tarot table. Look at that. Can you imagine the size table that you would need? Except for that I have a mini tarot deck. Thank you to Mr. Bart. So anyways, those are the 3 books that I would keep if I could only have 3. Deck-wise, I'm, again, not going with my 3 favorite decks per se, although I love all of these 3 that I'm going to say. But I'm just going with the 3 that I am using the most at the moment, just because, my favorite 3s change all the time. So you would get bored if I continually said the same things over and over again. So the Darkness of Light Tarot, ever since I didn't purchase this deck. I purchased a bunch of cards for it to replace them. But ever since I was given this deck, I knew I was going to love it. I had to purchase, it was a damaged deck. And so I purchased cards to replace damaged decks on this. And ever since then, it's pretty much been on my reading table since then. It is very Rider-Waite-Smith, which is unusual kind of a deck to stay that long on my table, but it's definitely, and it has faces in the sun and the moon, which again, not my jam usually, but it's just beautiful. I think that the artwork is just poignant. There is I don't know what to tell you other than it's just, I don't know why I have reversals going on here either. It's just beautiful. The artwork is beautiful. It's got black edges, but it's not I mean, look at this 9 of Blades. It's so gorgeous. The use of light in the deck is really gorgeous. I absolutely adore, I mean, look at how beautiful is that. 7 of Cups. Let me see if I can find, yeah, again, I don't know. Queen of Swords is just stunning. I love the style of art. It is at the same time realistic looking paintings, but there is a bit of acrylic-y kind of scrape, almost like he uses a palette knife in areas that I really love. I mean, look at the Queen of Cups. I think it's beautiful. I love the 10 of Coins. I'm trying to find, it has my favorite, Strength card is beautiful. The Hanged Man is powerful. I just really love this deck. Very classic, gorgeous Death card. Beautiful. Again, they're real classic images. And I mean, look at the Queen of Coins. Speaking of the Queen of Coins, look at her. It's just beautiful. Oh, here we go. My birth card is the Chariot. And that is one of my favorite chariots ever. I love that. And it also, beautiful. I mean, again, real classic Tower card. one of my favorite ever 9 of coins, that traditional woman. There's a lot of red-haired women in here, which I love. It's just beautiful. The use of light, this makes me cry every time it comes up for understandable reasons. That is just gorgeous. So yeah, I just love this deck. It's beautiful. It's powerful. It's great for reading with clients. I use it a lot. So that's why I'm picking it for this particular 3. Ask me in a month or 2 and it might be a different 3. The second one is Tarot of the Sevenfold Mystery by Robert M. Place. I just love this deck. I really love this deck. Yes, there's definitely a nod to Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's not a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. You can definitely see that influence, and I believe in his writings he does reference the Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's just gorgeous. The colors are bright. The style is very this sort of clean, almost illustrated look to them. And I just think it's cute. It's just gorgeous. It looks classic. At the same time, there is just a clean, I love that. There's a clean, modern feel to it as well. And there is a little bit of a pippish feel to the minors. It's just gorgeous. I really love this deck. And look at the 4 of Swords. Lots of redheads too. Look at the 2 of Swords. It's just this clean simplicity, but the use of color is gorgeous. The way the interpretation of some of the cards are just beautiful. I just love it. I really love this. I use this for clients and for, I mean, look at that. That Death card is gorgeous. So, yeah, this is Tarot of the Sevenfold Mysteries by Robert M. Place, and I am really loving it. Loving it, loving it, loving it. The last one was kind of hard, but again, that's why I finally said to myself, I'm just going off of what's been sitting on my table because I'm using it. Now, I also do have both the Prismavisions on my table as well, and I've been using them, but I had to narrow it down. So the other would be the Pagan Otherworlds. And the reason that I love this so much is because, you know, a lot of my readings are for clients. And I feel, as I've said before, this is a deck that bridges the gap for when you want to read Pippish decks, Pip-style decks. And if you're wondering what that means that instead of having really a scene going on, you simply have 9 cups. Well, this is sort of a bridge between Rider-Waite-Smith and Marseille, because while they are pips, there's no people in the minors other than the court cards. It is very Rider-Waite-Smith in that if you take, it's like you just took the people out of the scene, but the scene is still there. And so it's recognizable for clients who are used to Rider-Waite-Smith, but it also still remains and still gives you the freedom of more of a pip style deck. And it's just gorgeous. I mean, it's just beautiful. They have a new Oracle deck coming out next month called the Supra. I've already pre-ordered it. And if you know me, I don't pre-order very many things. So this is just beautiful. It also does have a kind of wintry feel to it. I mean, it has a spring feel to it too, I guess. I don't know. I've just been using it a lot because I have been doing a lot of Wheel of the Years and Year Aheads still. And so I like this, and I've been using the Darkness of Light. So I've been kind of going back and forth between, I've been using this a lot for Wheels of the Year, and I've been using the Darkness of Light a lot for Year Heads for whatever reason. So I've just been, it's just, they're decks I've been using a lot. Plus, I think they're all 3 beautiful. I wouldn't, again, say they're my top 3 favorite ever all-time decks, but they're what I've been using. So there we go. That's 3. 3 books and 3 tarot decks. And then the other thing, the last thing was 3 spreads. I have a section in my playlists called spreads. So I do have quite a few videos, and I think I've talked about most of these, but you know, if I could only limit myself to 3 spreads for a while, you know, I have a lot of spreads on my, you know, my shop, so there I'm constantly doing multiple spreads. And so I don't tend to just stick with 3. However, if I had to do that, it would be a 3 card. I think there is so much to be gained from a 3 card of anything, oracle or tarot, because you can do past, present, future. You can do body, soul, and spirit. You can do the 3, you know, of the shaman's tree, the branches, the trunk, and the roots. Like, there's just a lot you can do with 3 cards. So I think that a typical 3 card is a really good reading to get comfortable with. If I do a daily reading, it's 99.9% of the time it will be a 3 card is what I'll pull. Or it will be a 5 card, which would be my second one, which is the 3 card, however you choose to read the 3 cards. And then 2 more cards, which is a do this, don't do this. That comes from Camellia Elias, I think is how she pronounces her last name. She has an amazing website. She's got books out. She teaches classes. She's got a great Instagram account. And she reads a lot Marseille style. She reads in what I think she labels a cunning folk, more of a read what you see versus diving into too many or mucking it up with too many meanings. But she has a spread like that I know I had first come across, I believe, on her blog. And then I think it's talked about a lot in her book, and I bumped into it again with my friend Itzi, was taking a class with her. But I love that. It's just because, you know, okay, here's the information. There's our 3 cards. And then now do this. There's something actionable to do and something to stop yourself from doing. It's just great advice. It gives you something to take action on. If you're doing this, stop. You know, do this instead. It's something actionable. We don't just have this information. It's like, okay, that's great. It gives you something to do and to stop doing or don't do. It's good advice. So I really love that. So that's a 5 card. And then a 9 card. I know that I have a whole video on the glory of a 9 card. I will try to remember to put a link in a description. But there's so much you can do with a 9 card in tarot, Lenormand. I mean, any kind of deck. I don't do it with oracle decks because I don't tend to read more than 3 cards with an oracle deck unless I'm doing some specific spread. But it is it's just so versatile. A 9 card is an extremely versatile reading. Just 3 rows of 3. It's just really fantastic. So those are the 3 readings. I mean, I have like my 3 voices readings, but that's, you know, you need more decks than just with a tarot deck. So I'm assuming the rules, the parameters were tarot. So I kept it to those kinds of readings. So those are the 3 readings that I use them a lot. A lot. So then there was a +1. So if you could have one other thing, whether it be an extra deck, whether it be a different system, whether it be another book. He kind of just gave you a wild card. Thank you very much. And so my wild card would have to be a Lenormand deck. There's no world in which I would have 3 tarot decks and not have a Lenormand deck, because, you know, I read as much Lenormand as I do tarot. So this is my deck, of course, Story in Color Lenormand, and 36 card deck of Lenormand cards is a must have. Like, there's just no way. If I was even, I did when I packed for the weekend. We'll just throw that on. We'll just throw it in. When I packed for the weekend, I actually took I think it's actually still over there from unpacking it, but I didn't put it back here. I took the Marshmallow Marseille because the size is amazing. I'm gonna find that. That's gonna bug me now, but because I know I took everything out, but I must not have stuck it back in here. Anyways, I took the Marshmallow Marseille because it's gorgeous and it's small and it's compact. So I took that. I took my Lenormand deck, and I took a deck of playing cards because, you know, you can read playing cards, you can play with playing cards, reading with Lenormand deck, reading with a small tarot deck, and I think I also took a deck of Scopa cards because my daughter and I like to play Scopa. So I actually took 4 decks with me, but they were all small. They were all, you know, the Lenormand, the playing card deck, and the playing card the Marshmallow Marseille were all playing card size, and then my Scopa was actually a little bit taller and skinnier, but they were all playing card decks, so that was very compact to just throw into the bag. So there you go. There's a bonus. What would I take for the weekend? That's what I took on the past weekend. So we just got a little extra bonus in there. Sorry, Brian. I tend to like to always, if you say one thing, I'm going to find some way to add extra in, even though he gave us a wild card. So there, I'm going to wrap it up so I don't keep talking and adding more things on. Thank you to Brian for putting out this fun tag. A lot of people have been doing it. I have not caught up on everybody's video. I did see that nobody here had done it. I've seen a couple people have done it, but there are quite a few out there that are doing it, and it's neat to see what people, how they chose to interpret it and how they chose to maybe modify it to suit them. So it's been fun to do that. So fun. Again, I'll put a link to the original video where he describes it and everything so that you can kind of follow the rules more closely maybe than I did. And I hope that you guys all have an absolutely wonderful day. Let me turn this off because I'm not even going to edit this one. It's just going up.